All right, and we are live. Welcome to the final episode for 2025 of Hollywood Kitchen, our annual Christmas episode. And this year, we're going to talk about Italian bombshell Gina Lollobrigida. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I say
And
Lollobridga, but who
So do I.
knows?
okay,
So do I.
Lollobrigida. Maybe the Sound of Music is stuck in my head, and I keep thinking of Brigitte. I bet
It's a
that's what.
long one.
Right.
And I've got joining with me today is Samantha Richardson. She's been on Hollywood Kitchen many times before. And she's been doing this way longer than me. She's done a ton of these recipes. She's writing a book about them. And she's done the cookies we're about to make many times before. So she has gone down this road and knows it's a good road. So we're going to have Samantha. And new to Hollywood Kitchen is Dominique. Dominique, tell us about yourself and let us know, what you do, what you're working on, and we'd love to meet you.
Okay, so hello. I am Dominique. I am a art, film creative, and a fashion and costume designer. I try to put both of those in there because they're kind of different things, but I do both. But I've been influenced by classic Hollywood or old Hollywood. So that really translates into what I do and really how I started getting into doing clothes professionally because I would look at people like Gina Lollobrigida or Sophia Loren, Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, and I loved their style. And even as a kid growing up, I tell this story all the time. I feel like my introductory into the classic film world was I Love Lucy, having no idea, having no idea that it was so much more than just a comedy show. I just connected with it as a kid. And then as you start to get into um, growing yourself and finding what you identify with and learning more, I would see some of the people that would guest star on I Love Lucy in other films because I just had a connection with classic films. And so it kind of birthed from there. But also, I grew up in a very entertainment family. So, my dad, he used to sing doo-wop. Um, so, like, that really helped mold my love for vintage and classic style and music, and just putting all of that together helped create what I do today. So you can find all of my stuff on my website, dominiquereview.weebly.com. You can see my garments that I've made for shows, garments that I've made for other people. I do design clothes for people locally. And you'll see influences from Myrna Loy's The Thin Man Dress to Alfred Hitchcock. So, the dresses from the women in Hitchcock films. So I have a lot going on, but I also do writing as well. And you'll see a lot of my work. I just did a piece recently. I have a series on my website about notable Black entertainers, classic Black entertainers that aren't as well known as I think they should be. Of course, we get the Dorothy Dandridge, who is like a heroine of mine. Lena Horne, of course, Eartha Kitt. And although I love to talk about them, there are some I feel in the background that I wish could be pushed forward a little bit more. So I have an ongoing series with that. And my most recent piece was with about Amos and Andy, which is so controversial. So I broke it down it's very lengthy, very detailed, but you can see all of my write-ups, my work, everything on my Dominic Review website.
Wonderful. I'd love to talk about fashion because that's one of my big things too. So this is really cool. And also, I think just putting stuff in context is so important. I'm so upset I missed it yesterday. I had to be at the cemetery, but there was a lecture at the Wilshire Ebell Theater here in LA all about Teresa Harris, and there's a new book coming out about her. And I was like, dang it, I was so disappointed to miss that. But yeah,
Yeah,
she's
I when I saw that, I was just I that's something I wish I could have attended to in person. I like leaped for joy because I think for the classic film community, I think all of us herald around Teresa Harris. I mean, she's like she's a favorite of the classic, film community. Of course, we hear the stories. We wish her life could have turned out differently as far as acting and, just that time period. So that she's getting this vocal love now is just, it's very exciting.
I agree. So tell me, guys, tell me the 101 on Gina, Lollobridga. Tell me, like, for those watching that may know absolutely nothing about her, tell us, both of you, tell us kind of about her, what drew you to her, and what movies of hers do you love?
Samantha, I'm going to throw it to you because I've just already been talking. So go ahead and
Okay.
You're fine. Oh my gosh, what can't I say about her? I feel like a lot of people kind of lump her in with all of the other Italian beauties, Sophia Loren and Claudia Cardinale, or a couple of others. But I feel like she was very singular in her ability to express emotion. And she had a really unique start in Hollywood as well. She started as a model in Italy, of course, and she was making films as an extra in Italy. And then she got an offer from Howard Hughes. And, anyone who's a classic movie fan who's read about Howard Hughes knows what kind of an offer Howard Hughes usually makes to women. So she actually rejected him and she said, I would like to stay in Italy and I want to marry a physician. And so she kind of rejected her first shot at Hollywood. Um, and she really started from the ground up in Italian films and ended up kind of like kind of navigating her way back to Hollywood a second time. So I thought that was really fascinating. But she was not just an actress either. I mean, she was an incredible actress. My favorite films are the ones that she made with Rock Hudson. I particularly love Strange Bedfellows. I was just watching that again last night. She plays like a fiery activist in it, and that's a role that I love about her because she's so, open-minded, and she gets into these heated debates with Rock Hudson, and it's so great. But she was also a jewelry designer. She was an incredible photographer. As we were just talking about before the recording, she has a photo journal out that's so great to look at. She designed some jewelry for Grace Kelly after she became Princess of Monaco, and she was one of her closest friends. So she was just an incredible, multifaceted woman, and so beautiful, of course. That goes without saying.
We were just talking about before we went live how a lot of times many of the bombshell actresses, people could not wrap their head around the idea that they were more than a bombshell, that they had a brain, a heart, a soul, they were artists. It's very hard for people to kind of get that through their heads. So I love hearing stories about these women who did all sorts of things and they didn't just stay in one lane, you know?
right. I really feel that's what connected me with Gina Lollobrigida. Growing up, I heard the name. My parents weren't as classic film as I am, but I always felt proud that they said, "Gosh, we're learning a lot from you." Like, because they went to see these pictures, or as things are happening. So I feel like I have to play catch up. Like, so I heard the name Gina Lollobrigida, of course, and like Samantha said, it's usually grouped in maybe with Sophia Loren. So I I heard the name, but as I grew older, I started identifying of course, she was gorgeous. I loved her style. That's, I think, what really captured my attention was her style. But then, you always need something to kind of pull you into someone or something. And when you connect with that, you kind of go down the rabbit hole, as they say, and try to dig up more and what can I find. And when I found that she was way more than just an actress and she had intelligence and a brain behind the beauty, it sounds cliche, but I mean, she's really like a walking model of that. And like we were talking beforehand, I think when you were mentioning about Jane Mansfield, people see one image and behind it is something else entirely. And it does kind of blow people's minds. And I loved Sophia Loren, Gina Lollobridge's attitude about not being put into one box. When I showed this to you guys before, the Gina Lollobridge photography. Okay, there we go. Photography book. I bought this, and this really did open up. It's more than just a coffee table book, in my opinion, because you get to really get a sense of how she started doing photography and her pictures, as good as an actress she is, she, for 2.5 years she went like in disguise, and to see her in disguise to try to take these photos and being led into places that not everyone may not have had access to. The photos that she took really are like paintings, which she did as well. She did sculpting, she did painting, she did photography, she did acting, she did jewelry. I mean, there's so much to her that for me, she just really can't be put in one box.
I love that. I think that's fascinating.
That's so beautifully put. Like,
Oh,
I couldn't have
thank
said
you.
it better, genuinely. I have to say, somebody could just commented that they love trapeze, and that is another one of my favorites.
Isn't
Oh my goodness.
she is so, I'm trying to think, that probably was the first, like I said, I heard of her and I'd seen photos, but I think Trapeze is probably the first film I actually like, let's sit down and let's watch Gina in action. And she is gorgeous in that. I mean, and she's fiery, and it just, she has an inner energetic personality that even without her talking, it just radiates through. And when you find people like that or see people like that, it's a rare but beautiful thing. And I really enjoy trapeze. So whoever said that, yes.
Another
I
movie talked about the costumes.
Yes, yes. You know what? I was thinking, because I was trying to think, like, okay, you said that, and her and Rock Hudson had a beautiful chemistry. I love their chemistry together. For me, when people ask, like, what is your favorite Gina film? I know this is like really? Mine is The Law from 1959 with Marcello Mastroianni. I think because that introduced me to, because I was so used to seeing Marcello with Sophia. At the time, I didn't know that he had acted with Gina. And so when I sat down and watched it, I love her cutesy personality in that, but she's also for anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I think that's probably common knowledge in the summary. She's kind of the brains behind the conmanship that goes on in that film. So I love that film. So if anyone has not seen The Law, just just give it a once over.
And last month marked Rock Hudson's 100th birthday. So this is his centennial year right now, too.
Yes, yes.
I adore him. I have been watching so many Rock Hudson movies this year, not just because of his centennial, but just like accidentally. It's so fun and easy to just run into his work.
Uh, I don't know if I've told the story in Hollywood Kitchen before, but one of my things I do for work is I lecture on movie history at assisted living centers for seniors around LA. And this one little lovely lady, she actually met Rock Hudson and she told me the whole story. This is so cool. These people are just gold mines. She was a teenage girl in Brooklyn, New York, and the radio in her area, they had a win a date with Rock Hudson contest, and she called in and she won. Well, the night of the big premiere in Manhattan, she got on the train from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and every other stop, she noticed girls her age getting on the train in 50s evening gowns. And she's like, something's up here. Well, she gets to Manhattan. It turns out 13 other girls in Brooklyn win a date with Rock Hudson. And she said, Carrie, I was not going to be denied Rock. So she showed me, she still had the ticket stub from the premiere of Pillow Talk. She had a picture of her being like, like right next to Rock Hudson. And she said, Carrie, I didn't watch a frame of the film. I sat right behind him and stared at his head.
Like,
I love,
of course.
yeah, I love hearing stories like that. But God, women loved him, and he had chemistry with like everybody: Elizabeth
Everyone.
Taylor, Doris Day, Gina. I mean, just
My dad actually has a story too. He met him and it's a little tragic because I asked him later and he told me, you know, the dates lined up. It was like just a couple months before he passed away, but he said he was like a beautiful, beautiful man, so sweet. He
I
was like
wouldn't
his
doubt that at
taxi
all.
driver.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I mean, he's another person I think that the the inside radiates on screen. So his chemistry just seems so easy with everyone that he acted with or he's around, and his smile is very infectious. Like, you know, like you feel like you want to laugh, you want to be a part of the photo as well. So I do love him and Sophia and Come September, which I feel like films that have like the month in the title, I feel like I need to watch them every year in that month. So like Come September, I know this month I've been pushing A Warm December with Cindy Poitier because I love the film, but also because it has December in the title. No, it's not a Christmas film, but please watch it. But I do love Come September with Gina and Rock. And you know, Samantha, when you were talking about costumes, the film that came to mind, I guess, of course, is Solomon and Sheba. With
I was waiting for my opportunity to talk about
okay,
that movie because now that the gears are turning in my brain, I'm trying to remember more and more of her performances that I love. I do not usually love religious epics, but I think that is easily my favorite. And I would honestly say that might be one of, if not her best performance. It's so layered and so fascinating. She's like, you don't really know where she is morally in that movie. And
right.
she is so gorgeous too. Oh my goodness. I love her in that movie.
Yes, I okay. I'm not. It's not a secret. I love Cleopatra. It is what it is with Elizabeth Taylor, and the costuming in it is dripping. It's fabulous. It's huge. I don't care about the controversy in the background. What I'm seeing on screen is eye candy. But Solomon and Sheba, I think Gina, it needs to be more out there for anyone who hasn't caught that. But her costuming in that is spectacular, and like you said, her performance is spectacular. And this, you know, it's the sad story behind it. And if you watch Gina or listen to Gina talk about that film and the tragedy of Tyrone Power passing away on that film, you can tell it really affected her. And she even mentioned that that was a traumatic experience for her. And you know, as years passed, when she said at first she didn't like Yule when he came onto the set because she was talking about how beautiful a person Tyrone Power was, and she really loved him, and he was just a, you know, great to be around. And so when someone else comes in, it took her a minute to sort of warm up to him. But I love that later she did say like she really appreciated Yule, and they also had a photography connection on Solomon and Sheba, which I think is wonderful. But that film, even if you don't like you said, religious epics or films, I really would recommend people to give that one a chance. It's mind blowing.
definitely. I like the quote Humphrey Bogart said about Gina that she made Marilyn Monroe look like Shirley Temple. That was the first
Yes,
time
I've
I ever
heard
heard
that.
her actually, and I was like, "Whoa, who could do that?"
Right,
I've never
Gina.
heard that before. That's genius. I did just see Beat the Devil earlier for the first time this year, and she's so fun in that too.
Isn't she? She
Mhm.
she she told a story about that coming onto an American speaking set doing that film. And she did say Truman Capote was in love with her. She said this was a true story. Like he was in love with me. And so he started writing more and more about for my character. And I love that she never shied away, that she knew there's a difference between knowing that you're pretty or that you look nice and being confident in that. Um, and then there's the other kind that are just a little too overshadowing about it. But I love that Gina had confidence because she had so much going on behind her. She didn't have to rely, to me, just on her beauty. She had so much other parts to her going on. But anyhow, getting back to the story, she did say that she was getting more lines written for her, and they didn't like that because they were more lines were written for me because I wasn't a bad looking girl. But she said with Humphrey Bogart that there was a chemistry with her and him, that he would toy around with her a lot, and her not really speaking English as well. She didn't know, like, she didn't understand what was going on. And once she finally found the flow of his joking and teasing, she said she would tease back with him in Italian, just the chemistry between them, I think, fits well in the film. And as you hear about their backstory on the set, it shows through the film. So I do love Beat the Devil.
Plus, you can't beat John Huston and Peter
No,
Lorre. Oh God, the cast of that so good.
it is. And how can I explain it? I think for a classic film fan, when you see these actors in so many different films, like Robert Morley, I was introduced to him through Marie Antoinette, which that's another topic entirely.
Me
Don't get me
too.
started on that film.
Literally, me too.
like, like you want to be here for a few hours. Like, let's talk about Marie Antoinette. But that was my introduction to him. So when I see Beat the Devil, my mind was blown. I always love discovering people that we see maybe in one type of film, and then you find them in something else. It like blows your mind. My cousin came over not too long ago, and he saw Margaret Hamilton. I had on Slight Case of Murder with Eddie G. Robinson, and I wasn't paying. It was on in the background. I knew what was going on, and all of a sudden, it's the witch, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, the witch. And he was like, no, from the Wizard of, he had never seen her in another film. So I'm like, oh, that's commonplace around here. You're going to see her here all the time in different movies. So it's good to see actors that from one type of film or playing one type of character do something else.
That's kind of how I felt when I saw Beat the Devil with her. I'm not used to seeing her in black and white, which is so weird. Like, she was such a gorgeous Technicolor queen. And again, I think of like a movie like Trapeze, or I think of a movie like Strange Bedfellows or Come September, where she's just in her, or Buona Sera Mrs. Campbell. I can't believe we haven't
Oh
brought that one
yes.
up.
Oh yes.
Love that one. But the color and the 60s of it being in color, I feel like is so definitive of her that seeing her in something like Beat the Devil in black and white, it's like a little jarring.
But isn't she translates in both, in my
She
opinion.
does.
So like I said, I probably, matter of fact, I probably saw The Law not too long after I saw Trapeze. So for me, it was kind of like a side by side, but she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous in both. And have you ever seen The Woman of Straw with her and Sean Connery?
No, no, I've heard of it though.
A friend of mine recommended that film for me several years ago, and I've never looked back. I thank her so much. So if you get a chance, it's different. It I don't want to give anything away because it's kind of like one of those films, like, before you watch the film, don't tell any, just, I don't want to give anything away. Just watch that one, and let me know later what you think.
Definitely.
Oh, definitely. I will. Like, that sounds
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, to the recipe, Samantha's made this many times before, so she knows what she's doing here. This recipe came from a December of 1964 issue of Good Housekeeping. And if you can find one of these on eBay, by the way, I encourage you to do so because this particular issue, there are a ton of movie star Christmas recipes in it, which is pretty awesome. So, Samantha, tell us about the wreath cookies because you have made them many times before.
Yes, I literally make these pretty much every year if I can. Actually, they're kind of like my go-to Christmas cookie recipe because there are other cookie recipes in the old Hollywood universe, but not really specifically Christmas cookies. So once I found these in that magazine, I knew, and I tried them. I knew that I had a hit. I think for me, the thing that well, there are a few great things about it, but the fact that there's almond extract, I feel
Okay.
like whenever you taste almond extract in anything, it immediately, at least me, makes me think of an Italian dessert, like a spumoni or something like that, or like an Italian cookie, that scent and that taste.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like these are like so Italian. And they're so unique because they've got, you roll them around in little like pistachios or the tinted walnuts, and then you've got your little jam in the middle. I use strawberry jam for these, so they look like little wreaths. And they're so cute. They're so easy too. These took me like 20 minutes at most, but I love them. I mean, and I'm excited to go through with you. I have some dough left over too if we want to go
Yeah,
through step by
I'm
step.
still in the dough phase. My oven is hot. It's been a crazy busy week, so I didn't have time to test these, but I used my KitchenAid mixer, which I love, and I've got the dough already. I just need to shape them, roll them out, put them on here, and so I'm going to do that. By the way, in order to make these, you need a half cup of soft butter or margarine, 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1 egg separated, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, of almond extract, which these are things most of us just have around in our cupboard. 1 cup of flour, half teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 cup of pistachio nuts or walnuts, and a half cup of strawberry jam. So I mixed all the dough, and Samantha, you just get it in your bare hands and roll it out, and
Yeah, exactly. I kind of do. I aim for like maybe half of a golf ball size, like pretty small. Like they say to use a
right.
teaspoon's worth, but I feel like a teaspoon would be a little too small to get an indent in, so I tend to go a little bigger than that, but still not too big. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, and you kind of press them down with your finger in the center when you put them on the.
Yeah, so you want to roll them around in the nuts first in your
Roll them
ball.
around the nuts.
Yep.
In the green walnut. Okay, I got some questions about this whole
Yeah,
diamond
I figured
green
you'd have some
situation.
questions. It's a little tricky, the walnuts, but well, it's not too tricky. It's scary, but once you do it, it's not too bad.
The
Have
recipe
you?
calls for, and oh, sweetheart, no, hi, baby, hi, close up. He has to be in every episode. He just has to be. Let's see. It said, honey, I know. You want one too?
Who's
Okay.
got this
It
ready
says
for this
two
person?
dashes of green food color and 2 teaspoons of warm water. And you add the walnuts, toss thoroughly, spread on cookie sheet, and bake 8 minutes. So I guess here goes nothing. I'm a little concerned about this, but I'm gonna try it. See
For
how this.
mine, I didn't do that. I was a little nervous about
Hmm.
the dyeing of the nuts. So I didn't do mine that way. Instead, I was showing you guys earlier and for everyone else, I did green food coloring for my icing, and then I put the nuts on the top of it. So that's how I
Which
made
is
mine.
also so beautiful. That turned out amazing. Is that like a royal icing that you did?
No, it's you said, is it real? Is it?
Royal, like
Oh,
the thin.
oh, oh, no, no, I make icing myself. So, because my dad, he's like bakes. Because
Mhm.
you know what? I remember on an episode, Carrie, that you did, you were mentioning Swan's Down. and that I think you said you had never heard of it. And I was like, that is a staple in this household. My dad said because he's been baking cakes, I think, well, he said since he was a kid. I don't know how, I mean, like he was like making them and people would want them. I mean, he's like the cake person of the family. So he's been using Swansdown forever. But yeah, I just whipped up my own icing and put green food coloring in it to make it. So, and I
It
added
looks
just a
so
little bit of
gorgeous.
blue into it because I wanted a certain type of green.
Yeah,
Um,
like an evergreen,
right,
emeraldy
right,
green. That's
right. Because green on its
beautiful.
own, it was getting more neon. So I added a little bit of blue. So
Yeah.
my one wants that tip. And also for the butter, for people who don't bake, because in the recipe it just says butter, don't you use unsalted butter
Hmm.
with the salt, or if you're using salted butter, I would suggest don't. I don't know, Samantha, how that worked for you. I wouldn't use that much salt because I think the recipe, I have it still on my wall. I think the recipe said a half a teaspoon of salt. Or so if you're using salted butter, for me, I would not suggest using a half a teaspoon of salt for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I usually use unsalted butter when
Yeah.
I
So
bake.
for anyone who doesn't like bake cookies all the time and wants to try it, just an observation. Because usually recipes tell you unsalted or salted. So in this case, it just said butter.
Right, right. The other thing that I'll mention too, for anyone attempting to dye the walnuts, so I usually have used the green food coloring gel in the past, and that works really well. It's like a thicker consistency. And again, you can like use little by little. It's always better to have like slightly under green walnuts, and then you can keep adding the food coloring until it looks how you need it to. But this time I kind of forgot that it says to bake the walnuts once you've dyed them green. I didn't do that, and they turned out a lot brighter than
I was going to
usual.
say that's a bright color.
So I
I
kind of
like
would
that.
say you might want to skip that step too, because if I remember the other times that I've made these and I've baked the walnuts once I've dyed them, they kind of
Darken.
fade a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the pictures that I have seen, because I saw yours, I saw a picture of yours, and I saw some other people have tried it, and it did kind of look like a darker green color. So that's why I was a little nervous of doing that part. But now that I see yours, so you said you skipped the baking part.
I did.
Okay.
This time I did, and I used the liquid food color rather than the gel, which kind of like dyed the dough a little bit as well. I don't know if you can
Oh, I
see
see. I see
it,
it. I see. Oh, I
but
see
I kind
it.
of like that. I feel
Yeah.
like it looks cute this time. I might stick with it
Yeah.
for the future cookie bakes.
Yes.
It's one thing that's fun about cookies is you can really customize them, unlike a lot of other kind of recipes. There's so many ways to do them, and
Yeah, I one thing too, a great way to customize these is the jam. I love to do like any type of red jam as long as, so the red goes well with the green for Christmassy. But I've done raspberry jam, I've done strawberry jam, I've done cherry, I've done mixed berry. Anything red, really, you can fill these with, and it'll taste really yummy.
Yeah, that's the only step I haven't done yet because I didn't know if that's another thing. So for me, when I made my impressions on in the center, like I was telling Carrie beforehand, to me they didn't make the the deep impression I was thinking. Like when they baked, they sort of filled out. I mean, you could see a little rim in the around the center, but not as much as I thought. But these sort of remind me like a cross between like Italian wedding cookies in a way, like the we used to call them pecan balls because we'd use pecans and like roll up the dough and bake them that way and put confectionery sugar on it. But and then the Verona cookies, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that
I
with
love
the
those.
jealous of them. So it's like a cross. It's like the best of both worlds. So it is a very simple. Don't panic for if anyone is just trying to attempt to make something festive for the holidays. Don't panic. You got this. You can do this.
Yeah, I think the first time I made these too, the dough was quite dry and crumbly, and I wouldn't be too worried about that either if that happens to anybody out there, because like you want to be molding it with your hands anyway, so that kind
Right.
of like helps warm it up, forms it into those balls. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty that and the dyeing of the walnuts is scary if you are brave enough to attempt it, but once you do, it's not that bad. It's pretty fun.
I'm
Like
gonna try
honestly, I
my.
think next year I might have my little one do these with me.
Oh wow. See, it's simple then. It's simple that
Especially the
and
filling part, like filling the putting the jam in each little one.
that's what I'm getting ready to do. I have my strawberry, I have preserves, strawberry preserves.
Well, I'm
But
gonna go pop mine in the oven.
Mine
alrighty.
didn't quite make 36 as it says in
Oh
the recipe.
yes,
I got like a nice big plate of them. I'd say it made like almost
that looks
12.
really festive. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It says 36 on the recipe. Mine made 20. Did it make 20? Because at first I felt, I said, when I did the first sheet, I said maybe I'm making them too big. So I took that out, and when I put in my second batch, I tried to make them smaller, but it's still I could stretch it to 20, but 36, no way.
Yeah, they'd
Yeah,
have to be like,
big enough for a hole to be put in. So
Right. Okay, I found one that has a good indent on it. Okay.
so aside from Gina Lollobridga movies, do you guys have any favorite Christmas movies? Because of course we're right at the Christmas season.
A lot.
that's a big question.
It's like 2 years ago, I had Jeremy Arnold on the show right when his TCM Christmas book was coming out, and we made a Bing Crosby sugar cookie recipe. So, yeah, those are always.
Have you ever made his ambrosia?
I haven't.
I have to send you that one because that's another one. From what I read, it was either a tradition in his family or a tradition in, like in general, for ambrosia to be served Christmas morning. It's like a
Oh,
Christmas morning breakfast thing, and it has like oranges and pineapple pieces, and I want to say I could be wrong, but like marshmallow fluff or something. It's a silly one. It's interesting. I had never had ambrosia before that, but I think it's a little bit of a like a dated, I want to say like 50s to the 70s type dish.
I remember as a little girl at church, we'd have these church socials, and people would always bring something that had marshmallows, shredded coconut, fruit cocktail in a can.
That's what it was. That's what it is. Bing has a recipe. Speaking of though, tying that into Christmas movies, I mean, of course, like all the Bing ones, White Christmas and Holiday. And I think my all-time favorite, and probably because it speaks to my heart so much as an old Hollywood chef, would be Christmas in Connecticut.
Kind of feel like that Barbara Stanwyck character because
Literally, me too.
I'll be the first to admit I do not know what I'm doing. Like I have burned so many things, messed up so many things. I kind of try, but I don't remotely pretend to be a Martha Stewart person because I'm just doing the best I can.
She encapsulates us all.
I when you mentioned Babs, when you mentioned Barbara Stanwyck, I just watched Remember the Night and Christmas in Connecticut back to back. But
Oh,
there is a connection with Remember the Night
I
that
love that
really
one.
quiet, and like you get quiet, like it kind of silences you in a way. At first you're kind of stepping into like what you think is going to be just a comedy in its own way, and then you get to the courtroom scene in the beginning and it's kind of funny, and then as it progresses for me it just really turns into something else, and it's a lot to do with Barbara Stanwyck. I mean, her emotional wave through that, when she's from how we see her in the beginning, and then when she goes to meet her mom, and it I, Barbara Stanwyck, she is amazing. Like, she is, I mean, she there's not a role that she does where you feel like she's phoning it in. Like, and to think, how she felt about, double indemnity, like, what am I doing? Like, but the confidence she has on screen, you would never know that if she didn't tell you. But like she said, she was a tough girl, but Remember the Night is very touching film to watch. So
You
that's
know, I
one
have
of
to
my
say,
favorites.
Mitchell Leisen directed Remember the Night, and I
Yes,
think, humble opinion, I think he is criminally underrated and
I agree.
underappreciated. UCLA Archive here in LA did a series of his films a few years ago, and I went and I was like, okay, I'm really glad I'm not the only person on the Mitchell Leisen parade boat here because I think he's fantastic. And there's a tenderness to his movies that you don't see that much in old Hollywood, and you certainly don't see today. And another favorite Mitchell Leisen film of mine, admittedly, it's not a Christmas movie, but it's Hold Back the Dawn with Olivia de Havilland.
So good.
And that just came out on DVD a few years ago because for ages, unless you saw it on TCM, you just couldn't see it. So I love that movie.
To hear that
Didn't
name
he
drop, you
direct? I want to say.
no, no, go ahead,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, I was
I
saying to
was gonna say,
hear.
didn't he direct
Go ahead.
Midnight?
You said
I was just. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
no, no,
looking
no.
him up. I'm looking him up.
You were talking about Midnight with Claudette Colbert and Don Amici.
Yes.
Didn't he? I think
I
so.
think that's my favorite of
That's a
his.
great one too.
No, that's what I was going to say. So now that you've mentioned
Yeah.
Midnight and you mentioned Hold Back the Dawn, I'm like, this is how you know you're in a classic film community when you hear these titles being dropped and everyone's getting excited.
And Remember the Night, I feel like in the annals of the Christmas movie or in the pantheon of Christmas movies, that's so not as well known. Anytime I bring that up to people, maybe outside the TCM fan
Right.
world, they just look at me like, what? I'm just like,
Yes,
you don't understand. This movie is an unsung gem to the average,
it
film.
is. It is. It is. It is. And when they reach, the his Fred McMurray's character's home and Willie, Willie is he cracks me up. Like, it's just it's oh man, it's very connecting. Like, you can connect with that film, and I feel like there's something that you can take away from the film as you're watching it and after it's over with. For me, it kind of really I start trying to process a lot after watching that. It's a good film. It's a great film.
Well, when the scene where she goes back to her mother and the mother's so cruel to her, and then she sees the look on her face when she kind of sees the
Mm.
world Fred McMurray has, and it hits you like a thunderbolt. My God, she's never known love or a loving home or any of this stuff in her life before this.
Right,
And
right.
it's really very powerful.
It is. It is. When you were talking about Bing Crosby, Samantha, White Christmas is another one. I know it sounds cliche, and sometimes I think I've fallen into that, like, oh, White Christmas, and then it comes on, or I'll put it on, thinking it's going to be a background watch, and next thing I know, I'm sitting there and nothing else matters in the world but watching White Christmas.
The plot of that one ropes me in so much more than I realize every single time, but also the aesthetics. I mean, nothing can beat the aesthetics. I think a really underrated scene from that one is Rosemary Clooney's like solo number in the black dress.
Yes,
And oh gosh, George Chakiris is one of the background dancers in that scene, which I
yes, 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 yes,
love.
yes, 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 yes. I like.
When I met him, he had like his little table of all the different like pictures from his movies, and he had a picture from that movie, and I was like, wow,
Of
there are people that
course,
actually love him from that too.
right? Of course, of course.
You guys, but I have a lot of trouble with the background watch because I can't tell you how many times it's Chateau Bible here. I'll be like, I'm just gonna put it on the background. And next thing I know, hours later, I'm just sitting in front of the TV spellbound and nothing I need to do has gotten accomplished because I'm not good at the background watch. It's almost an all or nothing proposition for me, you know?
I am having that trouble now that I have a baby. nothing is, everything is forced to be a background watch.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
For me, like films that I know like the back of my hand, I can put on in the background because I know them like the back of my hand. And sometimes I'll just put them on repeat and let them loop. Or some DVDs I have automatically loop and it doesn't bother me at all. Like I can have The Thin Man on and it'll just keep looping, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But some films I think are going to be a background watch, and it ends up being something. I don't care how many times I've seen it. It ends up being something else entirely. As a matter of fact, Witness for the Prosecution was a film I thought was going to, in a way, I hadn't at the time I hadn't seen it before, but I had seen like promos of it in between films, and I'm like the Charles Lawton with the eyeglass. I just, I have to
Mhm.
see this. I have to see this. And then one day it was on TCM, and I was like doing some like housework and doing some things, and I was like, I'll just have it on and so I can get a gist of what's going on. Next thing, I when I saw that little his eyeglass test, I was down for the rest of the ride. That was like like I love discovering films like that. Um, and another film, I don't. It takes place during. Well, no, Christmas is in it. I don't know if you're going to call it a Christmas film, but Sins of the Children. Have you guys seen that with Robert Montgomery,
Haven't.
1930?
Ooh, no, I haven't.
No, not that one.
Okay, it ends up like at the end it's around Christmas time, so like, I don't know if you're going to call that a Christmas film, but it is a film that I like to watch around Christmas time. So if you guys get a chance to, I think it might, if you read some reviews, some people are like, oh, this is so like typical and cliche. Sometimes I like typical and cliche films, just, sometimes it's okay. And this is one of those films that I recommend anyone to watch and kind of put your own stamp on it, like what you take away from the film. I personally recommend it.
Thank you for the recommendation. Sometimes I feel like there's just endless amounts out there, and sometimes I need someone to kind of go, "Have you seen this?" and steer me in a certain direction, towards something I maybe completely overlooked.
Right, right.
Robert Montgomery is one of the most surprising actors to me. Like, I really can turn on any movie of his, and I have no idea whether I'm gonna love him or hate him or be confused by him. But usually I love him.
Usually, yes, yes. I discovered him when he was the star of the month. I forget what year it was. And I just hit record on the DVR and just let it go because I was mind blown. And it's especially his, just seeing his transformation from maybe not necessarily lead front roles, just the journey watching his films. He's one of my favorites. I love Robert Montgomery.
He's so great with dialogue in
Yeah,
general.
his timing, I think is really kind of underrated, or maybe underappreciated. His timing for things is like a master class, and it's especially as his career progresses and the films continue to go on. One of my favorite, well, there's a lot. It's not a Christmas movie either, although there's snow in it. June Bride with him and Betty Davis. I know about the background story on that, but his comedy in that, it's very subtle in some ways, just the way he looks or chuckles or moves his head, and I love that.
I love him with Norma Shearer. I
Of
think his chemistry with
course,
Norma Shearer is really incredible. I
of
think he
course,
was one of her best leading men, and vice versa. She was one of his best leading ladies.
of
I have to
course.
throw out too, just on the topic of Christmas and underrated actors. I have on my Reginald Gardner sweater because him in Christmas in Connecticut. I mean, him in general, but him
Right,
in
right.
Christmas in Connecticut. I feel like he was one of those actors where he wasn't conventionally attractive and he wasn't the leading man, but he was so great that they often had to like write a dumb reason for the leading lady to not get with it.
I get where you're coming from on that.
I feel like Christmas in Connecticut is a good example. Like with a couple slight tweaks, I feel like he would have been better for her. And maybe that's my own little unpopular
Oh,
opinion.
I haven't heard that one before. So that's interesting. Like I said, I just watched it the other, what, day before yesterday. So I'm going to go back and rewatch it with that perspective in mind. I never thought of that.
He's not the best character. Like they're obviously, it's one of those things where the writer had to like make some
Right.
flaws, but he's an architect. He's like so perseverant when it comes to her. Like he essentially creates the entire like ruse of the farm and the baby. Like he took care of all of that without her having to worry about a thing. And meanwhile, she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go with Dennis Morgan now."
That's that's kind of a different perspective. I appreciate that. I'm going to rewatch that with that in mind. I guess I am just so rooting for Babs and Dennis, no matter how many
I
times I
love
watch
Dennis,
it.
though. Don't get me
Right,
wrong.
right,
His voice is gorgeous, and I
right.
love him in that movie too. He's also fantastic, but I'm also a Reginald Gardner girl.
Have you? Well, then you've seen Claudia, right?
Hmm.
Okay, yes. She's not only English, she's British. Like I love that. I love the film in general because, well, it's it's a personal journey with that film, and I think it hits you differently depending on what your journey is in life. And watching that film I have personal reasons why I love it, but seeing him pop in with him and Dorothy McGuire is so cute. I love it. I love it. He's good in that one.
I want to finish his filmography still. He's one of the ones that I would love to work my way through, just because like I've never finished the filmography of a supporting actor. So seeing like the different ways that he pops into movies, even though
Movies,
he's
right?
not the lead, I think is so fascinating.
Like with him conducting the orchestra,
I
you
was
know,
about to say, in Born to Dance, like
like,
he just shows up, conducts the orchestra, gets his hair all messy, and leaves.
right. And because I'm just like, where is he coming back? No, that's
He's not
it.
coming back. No.
Right.
Benjamin just left a comment. He said, I discovered Holiday Affair with Janet Leigh and Robert Mitchum. That's
Oh yes,
I love that movie. Janet Leigh
isn't
is
it?
so gorgeous in that film.
Yes, that. Oh, there's a lot of when you ask what's our favorite Christmas films. There's so many. I feel like I can't. I every year I try to make my way through it, and when the first of the year comes, and I feel like there's still films like I forgot to watch this one. There's some, of course, I make room for. I have to have on, of course, A Christmas Story. It just kind of goes with the territory. Like you have to watch A Christmas Story. National Lampoon Christmas for me is like an of course thing. I, it's not classic film related, but personally, I don't know if I want to put this out in the universe. I like Polar Express.
I do
You
too.
know, I don't know at first. Maybe I didn't know what to make of it, and then I ended up getting it on DVD, and the hot chocolate scene and I'm here for it. Like, and then you go up to the reviews on Letterboxd, and you feel like you're very very much alone when you say you like Polar Express. But I personally like it, so it's one of the films I have to watch every year. So I'm glad I have a fan in you, Samantha, another a fellow
Literally,
fan.
that's my favorite scene too. It's great that you point that out. Like the animation has not maybe aged the best, but the plot is
Right.
so good.
I liked it. I liked it. Trying to think of not so traditional Christmas films. Of course, I said Sins of the Children. Sins of the Children is just a heartwarming story, just a father. I think that's what it is. It's a father and his kids, how he's managed, how he's loved them and protected them and provided for them as kids, and then how they grow up and he's still like there for them. And I think just family in general is a holiday theme per se, because whatever your relationship is with your family, I think during the holidays it's more to the forefront of putting things into perspective with your family. So Sins of the Children, like I said, it's not a Christmas film, although there's an ending with Christmas in it. But the theme in that is very heartwarming. And I'm trying to think of some other not as mentioned Christmas films that I love to watch. I'm sure once this is over with, I'm going to have like a whole list.
Well, send me the list. I can always post it on the Hollywood Kitchen website.
I will. Don't
social
give me
media.
that task because I will do it. I will definitely do it.
I love watching new to me ones every year too. I feel like that's kind of one of the ways that I keep the magic alive as an adult. This might be a little shocking to you both. This year was the first time I ever watched Home Alone.
Samantha.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I just rewatched that. What's Sunday? I just rewatched that this like Tuesday or Wednesday night.
There's some
thought.
others too. I've been watching so many new ones this year, and they've all been really good. I saw it was on TCM, so if anybody has watched TCM, go see it before it expires. It's called A Christmas Story, but it's not the 80s one.
I've heard of that.
The Hanna-Barbera animated one from like 1972.
Okay.
So cute.
Okay.
The
I'm writing that down.
songs. Oh my gosh, it's like just 20, 30 minutes, but it's the cutest little thing. It's like this mouse and this dog who have to deliver their boy's letter to Santa on Christmas Eve. They have to find Santa to deliver his letter so he can know what to send Timmy for Christmas. And the songs are just all so cute. I loved it. It stood out so much.
Okay, that's new to me. I've heard the title, and that's what kind of threw me. I said, "Oh, this title." When you look it up, I said, "This isn't the Christmas Story we're thinking of." But I never watched it, so now I have a good recommendation.
It was so fun. Oh my gosh. I can't believe people don't know about it. I didn't know about it.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Warren Kroom is commenting, what about It Happened on Fifth Avenue?
Hello. Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Yes, that one also reminded me of Lady on a Train.
I
I don't
love
know
Lady
why.
on the Train. Oh my God. Yes.
And we haven't brought up Top Around the Corner either. That's probably my other
No.
favorite other than Christmas and
Or In the
Candy.
Good Old Summertime.
Oh
Mhm.
yes.
Great double feature with me and Cindy.
Once you start saying films, like all of this stuff pops into your mind. So, and
And
actually, go ahead.
Warren Kroom is saying, do you guys consider Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I think there's a difference between like it has Christmas and it is Christmas. You know what I mean? It has Christmas. And you could say it's Christmas like because the people who say it's a Christmas movie are gonna argue with you about it, and they're gonna want to argue with you about it. So like I'll be
feel
like,
it.
yes, but is it the
Yeah.
one I reach for every Christmas?
Right. If it's a Christmas film for you, then it's a Christmas film for you. That's
Yeah,
how
that's
I
the
feel
best way
about
to
it. And
answer it. I agree with
I'm
that.
gonna die on this hill that this is a Christmas film for me, but it doesn't have to be for you because your Christmas is my and my Christmas can be
Everybody's
different, but we
Christmas
can
is
be
different.
together. Right.
It's funny, my close friend who lives directly upstairs from me, Mary Stanford, she's been on Hollywood Kitchen many times. She always says it is not Christmas until Hans Gruber has tumbled from Nakatomi Plaza. And she even has a Hans Gruber Nakatomi Plaza
That's
advent thing
cute.
where Hans Gruber falls further down Nakatomi as it gets closer and closer to Christmas. I'm not kidding you. So
That's fantastic, actually. I
it's
like that.
thing.
Wow, I like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, do you guys have your cookies to show? Mine are still in the oven, so I'm gonna have to post a picture of how mine turned out later on.
Yeah,
I-
I mean, they've been here, but I still haven't tried one yet.
Let's get a close-up shot, Samantha. Can you hold it right up to the?
Mm-hmm.
I put the jam in mine. I was hoping that it wouldn't.
Ooh.
So there's mine with the jam.
Send me pictures, both of you guys, so I can post them on the blog.
I
and social
will. I will.
These turned out very walnutty,
media. Nice.
but they're delicious.
I didn't want to take a big bite on camera.
Well, this
I was
was so
really thinking
much
the same
fun,
thing.
you guys. It was wonderful to chat with both of you. And I don't think we have any more questions, but again, we can always go to my Facebook and answer them if they roll in later on.
You know what?
But
I was a little nervous about the jam with the cookie, but it's perfect.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad it turned out for you guys.
Yes.
Well, I hope Carrie yours turn out too.
hopefully there's not black cat hair in them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your pictures though. That's so exciting.
Yes. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for tuning in today. And on a final note, any final thoughts on Gina Lollobridga?
Thank you. I mean, honestly, I really am deferring to Dominique even. She is like such a fan, and I am like writing down furiously the
Same.
movies that she was recommending too.
I feel
But
like I have homework to do.
just truly hit the nail on the head. Like what a multifaceted, just incredible, I mean, high-spirited and unique and beautiful woman. And she just did so many incredible films too. My number one favorite personally, if you have not seen it, go see Strange Bedfellows with Rock Hudson. It is so fun. Terry Thomas has a fun little scene in it too. But oh my gosh, so fun. Their chemistry, they're arguing, their spats, so good.
Yes. No, I agree. I think Gina, for anyone who has heard the name and may not know much about her, look her up. It won't take much. Like it won't take much for you to kind of be enveloped by the um, multi eye that she had for things, for like I said, for photography, for fashion. And I love one thing she said. She likes to. Oh, they did.
They look
Oh,
great.
wow. I love that she said she likes to sparkle, and I think that really speaks a lot to her personality because she mentions a story where she walked into a party and someone because the worst thing that can happen is for someone to have the dress that you have on at a party, and she said the woman that had on the dress the same as her was Elizabeth Taylor, and she she said that was not going to happen again, and she never let that happen again. So from there, she said she would wear or buy couture dresses or design dresses herself and had them made in Italy so that she would never walk into a party and have someone else have the same dress. She was very for what I'm trying to say is she had a very individual style and a very individual personality. And as Samantha was saying earlier, I think people might want to group her into the Italian bombshell phenomenon. And I think each one of them have their own characteristics and own quality that make them uniquely them. It's good that you can think of one and think of another, but they are very individual, specific people. So I hope people will kind of bring Gina more into the light as an individual person.
You know a lot about fashion. I need to get you,
Yes,
Samantha.
I do.
Samantha, there's a lady, I'm sure you probably know of her, Susan Clausen. She does a one woman show as Edith Head. And I did an entire Edith Head recipe and had her on.
I
And then
saw
one
that.
year I had her, huh?
I saw that one.
And then I had her host the Oscar cook along one year. And she's such a Daniel Day-Lewis method type person. Like I was telling Samantha, time stops when Edith died. Like none of us could ask about a current Oscar movie because Edith will like she will shut down, you know. And it was it's almost like having Edith Head back. It really is. I'm so impressed though with your fashion knowledge. This is fantastic.
Well, that's it's well, it's what I do, but I love it, so it doesn't really feel like I'm doing a job at something. It feels like just part of part of my identity. It's not my whole identity, but it is a part of it. And I'm just because for me, clothes, even when you're just like knocking around the house or you're not trying to dress up or it speaks a lot about who you are. I mean, even when you dress down or dress up, it's a personal connection that you have that why you chose what you put on for today. So it is something I love to talk about.
Excellent. Well, ladies, this was such a fun episode. I will definitely be having both of you back because you're both
Yes.
so knowledgeable, both so
Please,
great.
thank you
Samantha,
so
thank you for
much.
introducing me to her. Oh my gosh. Like,
I
way to
figured you two
go.
belong together.
Well,
Well,
thank you
I
so
like
much
to
for
mix,
having me.
thank you. I like to mix up my collaborators because I have some people that I do a zillion episodes with, but I always like to bring in new people, different people, just kind of shake things up. It's fun to just kind of branch
I mean,
out.
honestly, Dominique is genuinely one of the smartest film historians I know and most well informed. Like, just any subject, like, not even just fashion. Like, I feel like any subject I can ask her about and she knows. So,
Samantha, that is so, so sweet because I always feel like, maybe it's because I'm a Gemini, but I feel like I have so many things in the blender. So, like, if you're talking about, so when you said Gina Lollobridga, I'm like, now where are we going with this? Because for me, that's like, so I feel like, but
Mhm.
it's kind of what makes me me. So I'm kind of used to it. But for people who don't know me, they would like, okay, you went from this and now you're going to this and you're going to that. But I love creating and I love the creative process. And that's why for myself, I try to say that I'm an art film creative. I do fashion designing and costume designing because it's just not one thing. I think a creative person, we have a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things that we want to do and try to create. And like a friend said to me recently, he was like, I think as creatives, we like connecting with people and the world, so we do that through our work. So Samantha, that was a huge compliment. Thank you so much.
Well, every year, guys, I do an Oscar cook along. I think this year will be my fifth or sixth one. And I always have a theme to it. There's always some sort of theme running through it. So I will be in touch with both of you about the Oscar cook along this year.
I
Okay.
would love that so much. That would be
That's
such an
a
honor.
broad, yeah, that sounds like, ooh, that's a lot of
Yes,
films we can talk about.
they're so much fun too. And I try to have it go in a different direction each year because why
Okay.
not? But well, thank you guys. Ladies, thank you. I can't wait to have you back. You've both been fabulous. I got a lot of homework and learning to do about Gina myself. And thank you. Please send me photos of your Christmas cookies.
Yes.
And you were both wonderful. It was a total joy to spend some time with you this morning.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I hope you guys both have a great holiday and everybody
You
watching has a
too.
great
You
holiday.
too.
You too. And please, everybody, stay tuned for more food, fun, and film history from Hollywood Kitchen. Bye bye.